I think it was the vinyl records my parents had. There were absolutely loads of them. There was Bach and loads of Soviet pop music as well. The design was really beautiful. I remember a double album with some skulls on it. It was very beautiful. I found it both mesmerizing and frightening at the same time because I was a child and the skulls scared me. But I always wanted to look at it. And well, I feel like I spent my whole childhood listening to those records non-stop. Later on, I started scratching those records, making samples from them. So this was in 1993. I bought some completely ridiculous children's synthesizer. There weren't any knobs. I don't even think there was an output to record it. I used to record it on a microphone. I imitated explosions with my voice and read fairy tales. I also liked how it all sounded, how you could rewind it, play it back and forth. I learned how to record with distortion, and this ordinary 7-string acoustic guitar started to sound rough, dirty, noisy. I used to enjoy running knives over it, or different bits of plastic, just to get some sort of sound out of it. It was like a child's trip for almost an hour. Collecting sounds for sampling has been with me since childhood as well. And now, for the last 15 years or so, well, ever since I got an iPhone, because it's got a voice recorder, I've been constantly recording things. For example, the track called iMemo. There's this sound on there. It's just a table being moved, scraping against the concrete. The use of these background noises and voices was actually one of the foundations of our group. Somewhere around 93 or 94, all the British electronic music arrived in Izhevsk. We were absolutely captivated by it, and so Zhenya and I, we were in the same class back then, he later became the second member of Stereosobaka, each bought ourselves another children's synthesizer. This time it was a Cassiam. There were loads of voices on it, and we had 2 synthesizers. We could play some drums on one synthesizer and play melodies on the other. We started thinking that we needed a name. We were really wrecking our brains over it. At that time, I was working at New Region TV as a camera operator, and we used to hang out at Misha Basov's place. He was the art director and motion designer for the TV channel. And Rustam, he had a cat or a dog at the time. He turned up at this party and pulls a feeder out of a bag. It was a plastic feeder, and it had, well, 2 compartments. That's it. And Misha goes, "What, have you got a stereo dog at home or something?" A couple of days later, I go up to Misha and say, "Misha, do you mind if I use that phrase you came up with?" Since '97 and onwards, we were officially Stereosobaka. An even more conscious stage of our lives began when we finally got a drum machine, the Alesis SR16. That's when we started to sound more serious, and we had the chance to program the very sound that, at the time, filled and warmed our souls. Now I actually understand why it happened that way, that it was the SR16 drum machine. In fact, it wasn't really our choice or something we particularly desired. It was simply the result of the limited selection on the Izhevsk musical instrument market. I'm sure that if we'd come across some groove box back then, Roland TR-808 or something like that, we would have sounded different and developed in a different way. There was always something missing, either a mixing desk, some effects, or a decent synth. Мы более-менее стали похожими. We more or less started to resemble a proper band when Rustam, who was our third member, joined us. For some reason, he had a flat available. I can't remember why. And we brought the mixing desk there. There was a computer there. I bought a Soviet analog synth, Polyvox. We already had good digital effects by then. That's when the cool track Mountain Bike appeared, which everyone really liked. Well, we started working very closely with the Virgo Intacto around '99, and in the end, Alexei Maximov, he invited us over, like, why don't you come and play with us? That was, of course, an absolutely amazing summer. We were there in that studio, completely blown away by the sheer amount of equipment. There was top-notch FX processor, a Morpheus, a drum module, and a Kai sampler with loads of libraries, and I think we made 5 or 6 tracks that summer. The pace was honestly insane. We could finish a track in just a couple of days.
Я хочу сказать спасибо.
I want to say a huge thank you to the band Virgo Intacta for giving us their studio back then, at the end of the 90s, letting us play and use their instruments. A massive thank you to the lads for their patience. Without them, Stereosobaka simply would never have happened. The album just wouldn't have come together otherwise. So, how did Stereosobaka actually live then? Up until 2000, 2001, it was normal band life. We'd get together, rehearse, play, hang out together, and, well, do gigs. The roles were distributed like this. Well, I suppose I was sort of the front man. Zhenya had a really great talent. He could come up with a concept for a track. A lot of what you hear, even on the latest album really, are all sorts of Zhenya's approaches to composition and music in general. Yeah, so sometimes there are some ridiculous sort of contrived themes. That was something Zhenya was never embarrassed about. With Rustam, it was a different story. He was good in that he could sort out the equipment, arrange where to get a mixing desk, where to rehearse. It's possible that it was him who arranged with the Virgo Intacta to play in their studio. Zhenya was quite an important person in the band, and we genuinely always wanted to play together with him, and we always had something to play. We were always thinking about how we could do it, with me here in Moscow and him over there in Izhevsk. Sadly, Zhenya's no longer with us. That, of course, is just, well, such pain, real pain. He wanted to buy electronic drums and send me the rhythms he'd made. He was just really good with rhythm, always has been. Well, he wasn't just some bloke from Stereosobaka. None of us really have that many friends, to be honest. But this was real friendship, proper friendship. I mean, it was clear that he accepted me, quirks and all. By the way, I want to tell you another funny story about that Alesis drum machine. The first time we wanted to buy it, the plan was for him to sell his motorbike and use the money to get the drum machine. But basically his parents didn't go along with that plan. They're pretty serious people as well, and they forbade him from doing it. Basically, it was like, What a load of nonsense. Your silly ideas. Yeah, and I really had a go at him. Like, Genya, you don't get it. Creativity is everything. How could you do that? You're just such a down-to-earth person or something. But still, we didn't fall out over it. It doesn't matter. And perhaps there have been many occasions when I was wrong. But the distinguishing feature of a friend is that he values this friendship. And then, in the end, we managed to buy that drum machine anyway.
На том же iPad появилась программа, которая...
On that same iPad, an app appeared that allowed me to play whenever I had the time. Most often, that's when I'm on holiday. Just on the beach or, you know, on a rainy day, somewhere on the veranda, I was able to play. There are loads of synthesizers, loads of different drums. So I started putting together an album. I still believe that this album is really Stereosobaka's, not just my own personal one, because in it I was bringing to life what Genya and I had come up with about the kind of music we wanted to make together. And that's why, in many ways, it has the same spirit as Stereosobaka. From 2018 to 2025, I wrote about 40 tracks, I think, and around 10 of them ended up on the Rustwork album. I picked out the right tracks, polished them up, and then we mastered them. That probably took about 2 months. I was working on it almost full-time, from morning till night. Meanwhile, all my other work came to a halt. So I wasn't earning anything during that time. So that was the price I paid. That's how I started talking about releasing this album. I got in touch with Ristan. I said I wanted to release it under the Stereosobaka's brand. He answered, "Of course, go ahead, why not? Release it, no problem, that's exactly how it should be." About music on the sofa. Not having that opportunity and all, the Stereosobaka album never came out, because something is always happening in the rest of life, one thing or another. Well, I'm happy, basically, that I have an iPad, the wonderful Korg gadget app, and I can just pick it up and play whenever I want.